Aloha. Today I wanted to share an expansion off the last video, which was talking about propaganda and the differences between half-truths and false truths, and really kind of go into one of the biggest half-truths slash false truths that are out there. And before I get there, I wanted to also share how I forgot about Russell Brand's Truths jingle, because this is heavily linked into the focus of this video and the last video as a whole, that I don't think I worded completely. I just mentioned his jingle, but his jingle is around something like: news is a tool that is used to abuse you and leave you scared and confused. Truths is like the news. If the news were true, I want some truths, let's have some truths. That's his whole jingle. And what I said last time is that it's a propaganda. News is not designed to share truth. It's designed to share, at best, half-truths, but mostly false truths. And the foundation that those half-truths and false truths sit on are control and propaganda. That's the actual intent of the news. And like he says in here, news is a tool that is used to abuse and control you. And then he tells you truths is like the news. So it's like a tool that is used to abuse and control you, but just with true information. So he's basically telling you that this is true-ish propaganda, because the news is just plain old pure propaganda when you understand the manipulation of the political scheme and the fiat currency and all the systems that are interwoven into how the psyche of the individual actually is designed to hate people, hate other people, designed to program people to act and feel a certain way. Why would you want to affiliate yourself anywhere like that? I don't give a shit how kind of hip you're trying to be, or trying to, whatever it is, you are having a focus that has an energy that is, it's obvious. And then the obvious nature of that abuse and control is when you understand the limitations that is held within the actual wording, verbiage that's held within his tool, which is the video, the information within each video, and the information within the trend of each video put together. The storylines that are being spoken about, the focus, the energy, and also the energy and the focus of what's not being paid attention to, what's not being mentioned. Those are the two things that are heavily involved in any stream of thought. So the Russell Brand, the Alex Joneses, obviously the information that's not being spoken about within the Alex Jones program, and then you have the information that is being spoken about with Donald Trump and that focus when he activated that. Same thing goes for like TYT, what's not being spoken about, what is being spoken about with Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton and the system itself. And then you can go on and on with like Joe Rogan, and he talks about like his Bernie Sanders is like psychedelics and meathead, musclehead mentalities, like just be cool, like the popular kid in high school who has a car and, you know, smokes weed or whatever, but, you know, whatever it is, plays sports, is kind of intellectual but still just a fucking meathead. and doesn't really speak. These individuals have voices, so these are actual tools that are used to abuse you and leave you scared and confused. It's propaganda to leave you scared and confused. So you might not openly feel scared by this propaganda consciously, but subconsciously, without having all the empowered perspectives that you exist as, you will be left scared because you are still uprooted from your empowered perspective, locked into the focus of the system itself, which will leave you scared because you are going against, your little old you is going against this so-called superpower of the so-called powers that be of a system that is abusing you for so long and scaring you on a regular basis with this fear propaganda, with this system that tells you that they're the strongest and the smartest monkeys in the monkey evolution program, and you don't have anything to do with it because you're just meant to be confused in this giant system of billions and billions of light years and the Big Bang and math and physics, quantum physics and astrophysics that's just so complex that you have no chance of even understanding, because and science is so much powerful, it's so powerful it doesn't even need the soul or the spirit to exist. It's just science, and you don't have to believe it for it to be real. It's just, that's exactly what it is. So within the foundation to leaving you, that's the confused part. So you're left confused because you don't have any foundations to understand, and you have nothing to grab onto in the whole scheme of things, because that's the way the design is meant to be, to keep you at a lower vibration, to maintain a worker bee, robot, sheeple vibration, so that you're confused and you're scared. That fear is at the baseline of the confusion. So to close that out, the Russell, the Joe Rogans, the TYTs, the Alex Jones, it's obvious he's trying to scare the shit out of you with his style. But each program has its own purpose in how it approaches its involvement in the bigger storylines. So Russell Brand tells you one thing, Joe Rogan tells you another thing, Alex Jones tells you another thing, TYT tells you another thing. From all their perspectives, they fight each other in their own little ways. They talk about each other. It's really just building each other up, which is like the complex version of propaganda. The simple, linear version of propaganda would be like the newspaper and the radio, like I mentioned in the last video. Russell Brand is now a newer version, and he has to actually tell you. It's like the news, which is used to abuse you and scare and confuse you. And when you're scared and confused, you won't be able to do anything because you're still caught up in the system. So leading into the next propaganda machine, going back even further before the newspaper, into like the university system and the idea of the Big Bang. TED Talks is another version of like Russell Brand, this propaganda machine that leaves you at the doorstep of this superpower, and you'll never be able to get in because these are the people at the top of the game. TED is a big system that is designed to make, just like the internet and social media brings the system into your world more easily, so where you understand more because these people are speaking to you and they're breaking it down in like 15 minutes. They're breaking down these complex storylines down in like 15 minutes, and then you just like, okay, thanks, smart people of the science universe. I am forever in debt to you for this fucking bullshit that you've told me. It's more about power. So TED is like to bring in, it's obviously technology and whatever it is. I know the T stands for technology. But that's mainly what it is. It's transhumanism, technology. It's focused to bring in the idea of the future based upon the scientism relationship to nature and our human experience, and build up the technological focus and tell you, and the only way they can do that is if they tell you your past. So this video I wanted to go through real quick. These are the slides from two TED Talks that I watched last night. One was in reference to, this first one's going to go through how they tell you what evolution is, where evolution started and where it's going. And then after that, the second video was about what's called neo-evolution. And this is where, after they tell you where you came from and how you came from that star fart or whatever they're telling you it is, with completely lacking any soul or spirit. Let's keep that in mind when I'm going through all these slides. Realize that this is an actual TED Talks, and these guys spoke for a combined 30 something minutes, and they tell you like this is what happened in your reality, and never at all mention the actual soul essence of the star stuff, supposedly star stuff that you are. So they speak on the elemental level. So this is the main focus of this physical reality atheism, scientism perspective, is to only have a foundation of the elements, the physical reality. So they max out at a half-ass version of understanding, at best, half-ass version of understanding the physical reality based upon the big lie of the Big Bang. And once they get the Big Bang lie, then they can tell the big globe model lie, and then expand upon that with the transhumanism lie, and go even further into that programming into the idea of consciousness with CERN involved in the perspectives of the Mandela effect, which is just the next, how I'm seeing it, the next kind of like, we went to the moon, like NASA program. So that gives NASA a lot of power. When we went to the moon, we're the ones, like in Dumb and Dumber, he says, we landed on the moon. It's a big like celebration. So CERN, the spaceship for CERN is like the actual CERN smashing particles and opening up, supposedly opening up doorways. These are just, you will never see, or you'll never experience these scientism is doing this, these sciencers doing this stuff, because the way they maintain the powers through secrecy, which is why they have the secret space program and the propaganda machine of the New Age program to keep you guessing and waiting, is also with the alien agenda to, oh well, the government's been hiding the existence of aliens, and you know, Area 51, like these things get released slowly here and there with movies and stuff like that to keep it secret. That's a very powerful thing. Information is power. So when they withhold power that's potential energy, potential power, and then when they kick it into gear, that's the kinetic energy to go in the direction the so-called they would like it to go. And then since the people are held in a powerless position, they just got to go wherever the story goes. And these mouthpieces like Russell Brand, TED Talks, the New Age, Oprah, the New Age agenda, the New Age community, your president, your politicians, your Joe Rogans and Alex Joneses, they just, herd, they're the shepherds to the sheeple, into off the cliff of the dead end storyline. And everybody's in that vibration because we have zero power, zero connection to our soul essence, which is at the actual beginning of this illusion as a whole, on purpose. That's why the university system is based upon atheism. So I wanted to give proof of that and share an example, a more complex version of the other video where I was talking about the evolution jokingly. This is the TED Talks version of which is actually the belief system as a whole for people. They put it out there with these programs, like this guy at the end has a website. It's like, join this whatever to help us, get the evolution program into your kids' schools or some shit like that. I don't know what he's talking about with that website, but they want to expand this to get it, just like TED Talks is an expansion of the education system. It's like sixth grade for adults. You get like this little booster charge of artificial intelligence, and you feel smarter because you watch TED Talks. And I can vouch for that, because a few years ago when I was actually believing in the system, TED Talks was one of the streams of thought where I would, only for a little while, it was only like real quick, like maybe a few weeks, where I first discovered TED Talks, and then I moved into the banned TED Talks, and then I started to see even the limitations of the banned TED Talks, which is just the same shit, like the secret space program. Oh, this is stuff that leaked out, and then you see, oh, this is all on purpose. They're doing this shit on purpose. It's still a limitation program. So anyway, yeah, I'll just kind of breeze through this because everybody knows this story. But I just wanted to give these examples of this first set of slides is a guy who's saying this is the evolution from 13 or however many billions of years ago, 13.7 billion years ago, up until today. So you see the Big Bang, the stars light up, the new chemicals to the earth, to the life on earth, to the appearance of species, agriculture, and modern revolution. So this is how they tell you, and obviously this is the evolution program is the foundation to the globe model, being that it ties in gravity. Gravity is a thing that holds everything together after the Big Bang. This is how it makes the planets and this whole thing and this whole story for you to believe in. So it not only builds up your so-called future and your past with gravity and the sciences and the university system, but it also builds up the idea of the globe model, which is a limitation factor. So it's a separation program. So it builds up your idea, your artificial positive and your artificial negative, all in one big bang piece of shit storyline. So this is why they got to tell you everything is light years away. So everything is huge and billions, so many, so many light years away, and possibly this and possibly that, and we can't tell you this and all this stuff because it's all in the power scene, all in the family of power, I gotta sneeze. Okay, so yeah, where are they? Oh, the power. Okay, so the power storyline of keeping everything far away from you, the separation program. So not only is the soul and the spirit mentality and connection separated from you inherently by the system and the way it exists, but even the system itself is far away from you. Like, you will never be able to comprehend such complex algorithms and storylines and everything that they put out there on the NASA channel and the Veritasium and Bill Nye and Michio Kaku and Ray Kurzweil and all these people that get out there talking, just pretty much sciencing the shit out of you. So you just feel scared and confused and subject to whatever these scientism shepherds put out there. So yeah, you got billions of years up until the Big Bang. It's all about gravity. Gravity brings everything together. Gravity, these forces these theories that are invented for you to worship these people. So yeah, microsecond, millisecond, second, hour, year, 1,000 years, million years, billion years. You just believe this shit. Protons, electrons, hydrogen, and helium. All these elements. This is the physical reality. Physics, that's why quantum physicists are like the head of the smartest monkeys in the universe today. Because it's about the physical reality, and it's void of the soul, void of the spirit, and all this stuff. They talk about the Big Bang, but that's where their reality starts, in the physical reality, completely void of the soul, the spirit. It's all about hydrogen and helium and carbon and electrons and photons. So this is the he was talking about how the red parts are the more heated elements that are brought together by gravity, and then over billions of years, and then the lighter parts or the darker parts are where it's a little spread out, but it's only a difference of a few milladegrees or whatever it is. It's not much. And then this is a picture of the stage and this guy, if you wanted to look at it. I think this was about 5 years ago, but still TED. It's on there. It's like new forever for people. So yeah, after the Big Bang happened and all these elements are just floating around, and then the gravity brings them together to create stars. And of course NASA is there to give you the CGI images of how evolution works. And then it goes into these fancy charts of billions of years, new chemical elements, thresholds of increasing complexities. So after all the Big Bang to the stars, to the elements, to the stars, now you have new chemical elements, stars dying and creating new types of atoms. And these elements that are starting and creating the periodic table of elements, and it all happened from a Big Bang that's in the CGI image behind you. And then here's the chart again where we are, and then straight from elements to the earth. Gravity brought these elements to a big ball called the earth, and now dinosaurs, and then created this rocky planet and more diverse environments. And here's the guy telling you. It's these stages that get created. These stages get created, and they give you the power. They give whoever's on that stage the power So you believe anybody that has this podium, this stage to stand on. TED is a big giant stage. Joe Rogan has his stage. Russell Brand has his stage. The power of the camera, the movie reel. So this is like the scientism version, the intellectual version. This is what this TED Talk stage does. These are magicians making you believe in a system because a lot of money went into this. That makes it even more. That's another like stage. Money is a stage in itself. It makes you believe in these systems. So, threshold 5, life on Earth, molecules combine to form living organisms. And what there's, how they have to bring everything together with this bullshit mentality. They gotta tell you, invent things like the Goldilocks effect or the Goldilocks conditions for life, which is you have to have the right amount of energy, you have to have a diverse chemical elements, and then you have to have liquids, and then that will create this perfect, not too hot, not too cold version of reality where it can maintain life on Earth, and all the other planets can't. So, and all that life on Earth is just, it only exists on a chemical, elemental perspective and has nothing to do with souls. It's just because, or soul energy, or life force energy. It's only about the fact that from the Big Bang, these perfect elements came together and created the water planet that we live on and the water bodies that we are, and that's it. Good job. Something that happened. Reality, which we're calling the Goldilocks. So it's basically like they're worshipping Goldilocks. Like Goldilocks is what they believe in. So goodness. So yeah, when they get on this stage and tell you, oh, the Goldilocks conditions for life and everything's perfect, it's like talking to little kids. It's like, first thing this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then everything is perfect and okay. What about the soul? Get that guy out of here. Get him out of here. You're a crazy person. Well, what about all the stuff that goes against the global? Hey, you stop talking. You get it. Like, so in order to beat you down and to maintain the story, they gotta beat down. To beat down the soul, they beat down religion. So that's the bathwater, and the baby is the actual soul essence that gets thrown out. And people are like, yeah, I don't like that religion stuff. These religious people are just too crazy. They're just all over the place. So I'm just gonna. I guess I don't believe in God. I'm just okay with just kind of Neil deGrasse Tyson and Bill Nye telling me that I'm a result of the Goldilocks condition. Okay, cool. You can live your whole life like that. It's like living your entire life like a Democrat or a Republican. Then they go into telling you about the DNA and the complexities of the DNA after the elements came together in the Goldilocks condition, and then they just skip all these these steps of the creative intelligence. Everything is about the destructive intelligence. It's all as a result of explosions and gravity, these theories that come together, and then the complexity has no soul intelligence or creative intelligence. It just happens. This shit just happens, like the Goldilocks condition. It just happens. DNA just happened. It's like, what the fuck are you guys? Don't talk about. It's just stuff. It just mixed together in like a big old bowl, like making pancakes. Or no, not pancakes. It's like making it's like making donut holes, okay? Like, it's a sphere, not pancakes. It's like everything was mixed together in a mixing bowl, and then they started making donut holes. Like, alright, that's cool. So the complexities of DNA just was a result of the Goldilocks condition. And then they tell you, oh, in all these billions and billions of things that happen, evolution has always one discrepancy that actually adds to the evolution, because there's some positive things that come out of the discrepancies. That one little thing that's off adds to why everything is so diverse and so on and so forth. And that's the one thing that mixes up everything. So that one particle of chaos that kind of helps out the evolution of these complex versions of star stuff. And that's how they're going to tell you, well, if life or does that on a regular basis, then we can just get in there and start changing the DNA, because we're super smart sciencers, and that's just how cool we are. And that's the precursor to the next slide that I'm going to get into in a second, the neo-evolution. So from that one little discrepancy in the original DNA code came all of these complex ass animals, including dinosaurs. And then they tell you from fish to land plants and insects and amphibians through the Cambrian age and all these ages. I'm not gonna name all those up until Jurassic. Everybody knows the Jurassic age, 200 million years ago. And then dinosaurs were in that time, because obviously Jurassic Park is a true story. That's why they put it out there, duh. So you have dinosaurs, birds, mammals, early primates, and then he tells you, oh, and then dinosaurs had this big explosion from an asteroid that came, and it made everything go extinct except for the early primates. Or however he said it. It's just the dinosaurs are gone, and then the primates came out of that explosion some kind of way and produced the gorillas, the primates, the mammals, the primates, the gorillas, the chimpanzees, the hominids, and the precursor to humanity. What was that? Primates, yeah, all the insects, all those things still existing after the Big Bang, and then Neanderthal man who went extinct, and then Homo sapiens. So this is how this storyline gets told to you. This is like the Bill Nye of the adults. So the Bill Nye the Science Guy of today for adults is TED Talks, and you just believe it because it's fancy and a lot of money goes into it, and these guys speak very intellectually and excuse me, so on and so forth. So the appearance of our species, Homo sapiens, threshold 6. And since we are different and we're super awesome, you can see how this rat evolves through time. It just has a linear perspective. It doesn't really gain any experience. It just kind of just farts along eating cheese, when humans went from eating cheese to eating bacon double cheeseburgers and bacon egg cheese sandwiches and bacon lettuce and tomato sandwiches and bacon chili cheese dogs, and that made us smart and evolved to these super smart, very tall, intellectual monkeys. Because monkeys don't have the power to make a bacon chili cheese dog. If they did, you know they would. Am I right? Right? Good. High five. It's ridiculous. So, what makes humans different? Collective learning. So this is what this is. Collective learning. Mice don't have collective learning, because if they did, they'd create bacon double cheeseburgers, obviously. So obviously the globe model, collective learning, added up to the internet today and technology and super smart connections through the collective storyline, and now there's 7 billion people learning at warp speed because the internet is the pinnacle of monkey evolution from the Big Bang. And this is what we are existing today, and this is how I make it personal as I show you pictures of my family and my grandbaby and his evolution through time. And go to this website and support the bighistoryproject.com so everybody can learn big history. So they're calling it big history. Big is just like smart. Every smart technology, smart water, smart phone, smart meters, smart this, smart that. Big history project. So yeah, that's how they sell it to you. The emotional strings. Oh, it shows a picture of a close-up. I didn't save that picture. This one right here. It's like, oh, that's you with your little grandbaby. Congratulations. It's all about reproduction and making more babies that have no soul, because they are just a collection of stardust elements that came together with the Goldilocks condition program. Go to the website. Yeah, alright. So I think that's the last slide. So I wanted to start there and then go into that's not the beginning. So this is the next one called neo-evolution. And neo-evolution is the next step after regular evolution. So now that you've been primed into the church of scientism, now you can start to be actively engaged in the chorus, the church band, and start playing the atheist God, like Bill Nye and Neil deGrasse. Those are the gods of your reality. These people who know all this information, they make themselves out to be God. So whatever God tells you is the future of your evolution, now what is it? So they give another guy a different stage with bigger pictures, and they tell you again the evolution story. Plants, animals, chromis, to Homo sapiens. And then what's the next coolest Homo sapien? Like extra awesome Homo sapien. Here's another breakdown of the Big Bang. You got your basic elements in the middle, right after the Big Bang, after the formation of the universe, into the radiation era, and then the matter domination era, the stars, galaxies form, and then the birth of a sun. And then you zero all the way down into this, and then that little line there is life. You. So good. Now that you understand that's how the Big Bang works, and you can see that single cell organisms were first part after the Big Bang in life, and then you were jumped into the higher organisms, which are the masculine and the feminine design of the human species. And what happens is, when you are born, you die. Yes, you will die. And you can't do anything about it. And it's really fucking scary, because you have no connection to any kind of spirit or soul. It's just, you're these elements that came together, and they're alive somehow. And then they're gonna fucking die. And you don't know what's gonna happen, and because we don't know what's gonna happen. So you should be scared as shit. Dun dun dun, you're gonna die. But before you die, we could actually sell you this product called Neo Evolution. And the reason why you'll buy it is because you think that you're just a collection of star farts to create the monkey mind, and you're basically just brain fat, some kidneys, and a heart. And you're a complex version of bacteria and all these other things that are just primitive, savage living organisms like the indigenous people. They're just primitive savages. But us sciencers are more complex versions of reality. So right now he's telling you, and he says me, him, are just like these this is another NASA program, globe program, obviously. You're basically just the thrusters of your brain through time, when actually you need to go into understanding how you can be the actual shuttle itself, but you're just thrusting through generations, dying, living, and dying. And he uses this quote saying, I don't want to achieve immortality through my work. I want to achieve it through not dying. Woody Allen. And of course the crowd breaks out in laughter. Ha 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 ha. Of course. And then he tells you that, hardcore organisms actually live in like volcanic water areas at the bottom of the ocean, and they're alive, and how could they live there? It's so crazy how evolution works to where we could live in these extreme environments. Look, this is a living organism living on a stove, basically. So how could we adjust our experience to live and not die? How could we innovate through technology and become immortal? For just 10 easy payments of your soul, you can buy immortality. It's like bust must plus for the human experience. And then here's another version of that evolution slide from the other one, to show you how the complexities of the different living organisms. And then he goes from no evolution to traditional evolution, and then this is like going through time again from the Big Bang, and then now that we understand traditional evolution, like the monkeys to the Neanderthal to the Homo sapiens, then now that the Homo sapiens are super cool and super smart, we have technologies and smartphones. We can have what's called neo-evolution and make you live forever-ish. And obviously we're super powerful because nowadays you can choose the sex of your child, male or female. They're actually doing this now. This was I think this TED Talks is like 5 years old. And so you have this self-directed evolution from the medical. This is how they sell it to you, with fear, the fear of dying, the fear of getting sick, the fear of everything. Everything is sold with fear. Like the propaganda of the Russell Brand Trues jingle, scared and confused. You're confused as shit because you can't comprehend astrophysics and the 13 billion years of evolution in this stupid ass atheism, scientism agenda. And you're also afraid of dying because in that atheism agenda, you have no connection with your soul essence that never dies. You are based upon the limitation of the physical reality. So they profit off of your fear and your confusion, and sell you the storyline that maintains the powers that be to remain in power. The so-called powers that be to remain in power. And you're maintained on that course through sickness. This is where the genetically modified foods comes in, the fluoride in your water, the prescription drugs being legal and pumped in your face with all these commercials. They gotta sell you that shit. And cannabis, a plant, being illegal. So this is the upside down backwards version, the actual magic of the death program, the death cult, the destructive intelligence, the worshipping of these empty people like celebrities and politicians. People still believe this shit, and they love these programs, these athletes, and these people who just sell their souls. They sign these contracts, and your kids grow up with posters on their wall of people who've sold their souls. Britney Spears posters on the wall for years, and whoever else, just loving this system, because we're not just physically sick but mentally sick, because that's the norm, which is the separation from what is nature, what is natural. So everything that's being pushed in front of you, in your face, the secret space program, the New Age agenda, the Oprah program, the gay agenda, everything that's being amplified by the system itself is designed to separate you on some level from nature, from spirit, from the soul, because that is the design of this destructive intelligence, this worshipping of this death mentality. So they use how the program is designed against you. So they give you diabetes with sugar and all the food, and then use that to sell you the next product of immortality with neo-evolution. And then people getting all these cancers from the food and the air and the water, and Alzheimer's from your deodorants, the aluminum. If you're still using regular deodorant, start looking into alternative forms of deodorant. There's aluminum in there. I know a lot of people already know about it, but that's one of the big things out there, to add aluminum to your body, these heavy elements. So, side note. So yeah, you're scared as shit, and you're happily scared. You're like, oh, good, thank you for making me smart, guy on a stage with a microphone and big giant letters. And then you can do things like select the traits your children will inherit. So, resistance to hair loss. All these egoic ass things that they would do. Like this artificial ego, this totally plastic version of reality. Like he was asking, I'll get to that slide at the end, but he was asking people, and like, what would you do if you could change everything? Would you be more creative? Would you be more this? Would you be more that? Would you make a faster metabolism so you can have that flat tummy and that six pack, so you can be on commercials for prescription drugs that help you, like diet pills or whatever it is? We can change your DNA so you can do that. Resistant bone structure. So he's basically telling you evolution works at like a regular slow pace. Like if you're just walking through evolution like a regular old Joe Blow human, it'd take you 100,000 years to get where you were going. And that's just slow. With new medical evolution, neo-evolution, we can get you there in 100 years. Accelerate it. We can change your memory, make you more beautiful, have you more fit, give you talent. You can be more competitive. You can be more empathetic. Really, you can be more creative. Which one would you choose? And you're just like, ooh, I I like beauty. Ooh, ooh. I like to be more creative. I want to be more talented. It's like, good. This has nothing to do with your soul journey. It's all about the elements, and we can change them. So, yeah, this is the first slide. It went out of order. All the other slides were in order, but this one was actually the first one where who was actually asking the crowd, what would you do? Would you like to have a better memory, be more fit, be beautiful, longevity? People raise their hands for each one, and then longevity is actually the one that they want to emphasize, because that's the power of God, in a sense, without saying it's God. It makes them God. It's like, it make you live longer. That's all what it is. This whole like Shangri-La sort of mentality of, we have the power to make you, like, if you believe in a God made you live. It birthed you into this reality. We have the power to make you live longer. So we're like God 2.0, and you should buy our product called genetically modified human evolution. It's ridiculous. But that's neo-evolution, and that's what they're selling to people. And they're already doing it with this whole, I think that's the last slide, yeah. They're already doing it with this whole picking your gender of your baby, and then whatever they're doing with these studies of genetics and so on and so forth. So people are going to buy that, and they buy the illusion. If they buy the TED Talks version of evolution, you're actually inherently buying the small writing that gets added. Like, the side effects to buying the evolution program are the globe model, the NASA programming, the CERN program, the military industrial complex, the prison industrial complex. You get all these add-ons that are part of the system, the contract, under the guise of what they're promising you, and it's all to keep you from focusing on the other side of the system, which is expanding itself on a regular basis. And the New Age agenda, or that mentality, and the other news outlets like the alternative news and the so-called conscious community that doesn't look at the system on the street level or boots on the ground, as in treating it as like those people, that's part of the system itself. It's like, don't worry about that. We are like super smart, technological, and expanding beings. Like, what about the people? Hey, don't worry about that. That'll take care of itself. It's just people who are caught up in a dense environment, and they're just stuck there. So I was there before, and I got out of it. It's like, no, you just acted like it doesn't exist anymore. There's a difference. So this system keeps expanding itself. The destructive intelligence on the boots on the ground, every level, it keeps expanding itself. Like, the evolution program, the neo-evolution, maxes out at best at selling you an artificial version of the solar plexus. So people who live in the solar plexus energy, the willpower, the ego, physical reality, the crown of the physical reality, the sacral chakra is shut down by the manipulation of the sexual programming and the relationships as a whole. If you don't have a relationship with yourself, with nature, then how the fuck are you going to have a relationship with another person? So that's already in the bag. And then nature is destroyed with your relationships to the human experience and the animals and the plants and the earth plane itself. So that's the root level. And also the people who are still living in the physical reality on every level are having to deal with water being poisoned, and the skies being poisoned, and the food being poisoned, and all this other stuff. And ever since everybody has compartmentalized the divide and conquer program and locked into these shepherds like Russell Brand and Joe Rogan, who don't want to connect any of these dots because they're in the system, and yeah, the beat will keep going on, and the people who will keep challenging that beat will get beat by the system itself because of the lack of engagement, the lack of acknowledgement that people are people are like rooting for the police. Like in this picture, they're like rooting for that. They're rooting for the cavalry and that whole thing to, like, cowboys and Indians. That's what it is. It's because people are held in that low vibration of understanding their connection to spirit, their connection to their reality. And it's on purpose. We get held there on purpose. Systematically, everything gets flipped upside down and backwards. And you are being separated from that which is natural and being indoctrinated into a program that is normal. And what is normal in a diseased society is going to produce cancerous versions of reality and sick individuals who will have zero connection to the soul, zero connection to the spirit, zero connection to each other, zero connection to nature, and will totally worship the artificial physical reality as the end-all be-all, and will go to the extremes of defending it by taking the lives, taking the land, taking the resources of other individuals who do not subscribe to that system of enslavement, that system of artificiality, that system of separation from all that is the spirit. So that's basically what I wanted to share with this video. So thank you for joining me. And until next time, from all my relations,